Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Hello, hello. Welcome to day 3. I'm here a couple of minutes late. Was just checking everything was all present and correct. Have I been watching too much Fireman Sam? Maybe so. Okay, we're here tonight to talk about visibility. If you've missed the first 2 trainings of the week, don't worry, they're recorded. The videos are on my YouTube page, and also both have been recorded as a podcast. So you can revisit anytime you want. They're not going anywhere. I just wanted to back things up myself because of the nature of Instagram. You know, these stories and these lives are great, but they only last 24 hours. So I just wanted to make sure the content was available whenever you needed it. How has your day been? I hope it's been going well. We went to the library today. It was very 1989 of us, but there's something quite lovely and peaceful and humbling about a library. Generally, my son, we don't have childcare on a Tuesday, so usually it's just a kind of slow day for the family. So I wanted to kick things off tonight by talking about sometimes the root of our visibility and how sometimes all of these old beliefs or things that people made us do as kids kind of hold us back. So you may be aware of that poem. It's often said at Christmas, you know, that 'twas the night before Christmas. And all through the house, not a creature stirred, not even a mouse. Now, there would have been somebody probably in your class, it might have been like the tallest boy or something, who would have been designated like, you be the narrator because you're good, you've got a big strong voice, you do that. However, of course, you know, there's everybody's mums and dads or grannies or grandpas or whoever it might be. Everybody wants to feel included. So what they would do in terms of the school is they would divvy out the lines so everybody would have a go. And you would see that fluctuation between the people who were saying it proudly and were just like, yes, I am finding my moment. I've spotted my mum and dad, and I'm making this 'Twas the Night Before Christmas my own. And there would be some people who couldn't think of anything worse, who were just willing that moment to be over. And I remember seeing this as a kid, and I don't know if it was that poem, but it was something that we had to do. And the teacher sort of very quickly told the kid, like, no, 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 like, come on, you need to say this louder. And no, 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 big, strong voice now. And was kind of coaching him and directing him, but was basically not reading the situation, was not reading that this person could not think of anything worse, age 8 or 9 or whatever he was, than speaking out loud. And what the teacher actually did in that situation, and of course, teachers are overworked, everything's busy, all that good stuff, is what she did in that moment was, instead of kind of taking them to the side or coming over and saying it quietly, like, you've got this, I just need you to say it a bit louder, kind of doing it with kindness. Instead, she stood at the other end of the hall and was like, no, 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 I need more. I can't hear you. I don't know what you're doing. And there was a certain amount of shame for it. And I'm sure this lad, whatever he might be doing now, will have that memory of, I did not want to do that. Or, you know, they only have to hear that Christmas poem or whatever it was, and all of a sudden they're taken back to that time. So how does this link to visibility? Well, not only do we sometimes have things from our past or schooling, or I don't know, being told to do something on a hen do, or, you know, a uni freshers night that you feel really embarrassed about. but sometimes there's this pressure to be seen, to perform, even though it might not feel right to you. So tonight, what I'm going to focus on is really helping you get connected with the humanness of visibility. Hi, Lucy. That humanness of visibility. And the reason that I say this is we're in a great world right now, right? We've got the internet, we've got digital solutions, we can automate, we can build systems, we can do all these kind of structural things. And people are always talking about this sense of being able to remove themselves from their business, like build a team, remove yourself, stand in your power, and almost let things kind of work themselves by themselves. However, that doesn't work for me, and that doesn't work for my clients, because even though I do get help, sometimes I don't have a full-time team by any means, but I do outsource projects sometimes, or I get help when I need it. So sometimes I get help with filming, or I have an agent that works for me, who does kind of negotiating and stuff like that for performance. But on certainly the one-to-one clients, it's all me. So when I'm thinking about visibility, I've really got to put myself in the frame of that. And this sort of knocked me a little bit the other day, because I listened to this podcast, and this woman who I listen to frequently, was saying the opposite. She was like, you need to extract yourself out of the business, because otherwise the business is solely going to rely on you to be able to do whatever it is you need to do. But with me being a personal brand, with me being the person who is booked, that it's really important, I guess, that people get to know me, that people get to know what I'm all about, what I stand for, what I talk about, what I'm the go-to person for, and I guess what my flavor is. And I think that's really important with you as well, because there will be people out there who will say you just need to write blog posts, or you just need to be posting on Instagram and LinkedIn twice a day, and suddenly you're going to have an engagement. But what happens is that gap between you and who you are in real life, or in a situation where you feel really comfortable, and the output that you're sending out into the world, can be really huge. So it's like going back to that school assembly moment with that lad, of him saying something and not connecting with whatever the experience was, and somebody saying, you just need to shout louder, love, just say it louder, just say it in a bigger, stronger voice, puff your chest out, say it. And that person really squirming because there was something about that didn't feel good. So whenever we're thinking about visibility, whenever you're thinking about getting clients, or building opportunities, building relationships, being the go-to person, just elevating things, for me, it always comes back to, hiya, Brenna, it always comes back to connection. Always. And this is the thing, like, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm not in it to kind of retire at 40. Well, I'm 40 next year, so I'm probably not going to retire then. But I have seen in the personal development world over the years, there have been some people who have literally come in, made loads of money, and then buggered off and never have been seen again. Whereas for me, like, I've always known that I really don't want to work for anybody else. Like, I'm not doing this for a couple of years just while it ties me over. I'm in it. And this is the thing. And I did a podcast about it a few episodes back, where I was saying the worst thing that you can say when you're pitching for work or creating opportunities is, hope you're well. Because that person who may be a stranger to you, what you're asking is quite a personal question, as in, how are you? And if you want to create a personal relationship with somebody, you have to really care about what the answer is. Or otherwise, like, don't ask it. So the hope you are well it's a little bit presumptuous sometimes, and it just skips over like, hope you're well. Anyway, on to me, on to what I'm here to do. Off we go. And we always have to think every step of the way is how can we build connection with that person? And this is, again, not some sleazy marketing technique or anything like that. This is about if your work is full of heart and integrity, that has to feed into everything you do. How you show up online, how you show up in person, how you show up with your clients and holding space for them. It could be, I'm just going to grab my tea 1 second, how you show up if you deliver products, like what's the experience that somebody's going to have of you when it comes through the post and it lands. It goes all across your personal brand. And one thing that I noticed the other week when I did a gig, I actually took my mum along because I took my daughter because she was still quite young as well. This woman came up to me who I'd had chats with online, but we'd never met in person. And she immediately came up to me and gave me the biggest hug and was like, "Hi, how are you?" And my mum said to me afterwards, "Oh, how do you know her?" And I said, "From the internet." And my mum kind of looked a bit shocked because she's not in the world of social media. She Googles, she's got, she does online shopping, she does all kinds of things. But social media is not really her thing. She's got a really strong core group of friends that she's had for many, many years, and she doesn't require it, and it's not part of her world. But there was some realization that my personal brand online is really similar to who I am in person. And that's, I guess, what I want to have. So, how do you do this? Well, I think it all starts with conversation and really listening to what somebody wants or needs, or what they're trying to tell you. And sometimes they're not saying the actual words of what they need. Sometimes they're going round and round in a bit of a peculiar way of their thoughts are all over the shop. And it's your job to almost take them by the hand and go, "It's all right. I've got you. I hear you. And this is what I'm hearing," and almost reflect back and support that person and really support that client, really hold space for them. Because I tell you what, that's a really magical moment if you can hold space, whether that's in a DM, hi Amanda, whether that's in a DM and you going back and forth, whether that's when you're speaking to people and not, say you do the Q&A, you're not giving an answer for the jokes. You're doing it because you're really supporting and helping that person. Or whether that's really marketing to that person, as in if you have a discovery call with somebody and they want to find out more about coaching or whatever it is that you do, and you have, say, 4 or 5 different packages, only mention the things that will work for them. You don't need to spend all the time going through all the motions and going into detail of things. It's like, no, your responsibility is to listen, to build that connection with your client and to really help them. Because for me, I want repeat customers, and I want people to leave working with me or be in the process of doing it. Holding space is a magical thing. It absolutely is. Because this is the thing, in day-to-day life, we don't hold the space barely for ourselves, let alone somebody else holding the space for us. And my son actually told me off today. Like I was texting my mum to say like where we were going to be. And Oscar said, "Mummy, you need to put your phone down because I'm trying to have a conversation with you and I can't get my words out." And it took me by surprise. And, I wasn't doing anything by like just scrolling on Instagram or something. I was genuinely like doing something so I could tell. But for him, he wasn't feeling visible. He was feeling a bit ignored, which, Of course, he was very right to feel like that. I mean, I'm not Mother of the Year every second of every day by any means, but it did kind of stop me in my tracks in that way. So, when you're connecting with clients, when you're connecting with potential opportunities or reaching out, you don't have to give everything, as in, you don't have to give your life story or go into 8 paragraphs when you're pitching to a journalist. Try and just condense it. It's almost that moment if you go into a cafe and you know that you want a jacket potato, you've been thinking aspirational life here. You've been thinking about a jacket potato all week, and you want one of those ones that you can't necessarily cook yourself, even though you'd like to think you can, but like a really good, hearty, massive jacket potato with your flavor of choice. So whether that's cheese and it's beautifully melted with a nice bit of salad on the side, whether it's homemade coleslaw or whatever it is, you've been having that idea. So then when the waiter comes over and they take your order, you don't want them to waste the time going through all the things like we've got sandwiches, we've got salads, we've got puddings, we've got vegan options. Let me talk you through the wine menu. No, just give me the jacket potato. Just serve me in that moment. Make me feel heard. Make me feel seen. Make me feel visible. Make me have that connection. So sometimes we feel like visibility is you being all entertaining, putting yourself out there. Here we go. What can we do? La, 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 la. And, being the light, sharing what it is that you do. But sometimes, and quite often actually, it's about the other person. What do they need? What are they missing? What are their gaps? What's going on? So, also, as well, this sense, I'm just going to have a sip of tea. One sec. We only have big mugs in this house because we drink a lot of tea. But I tell you what, like if Matt ever makes one, he'll always like make one in this big mug for me. I've got 2 of these. And then he usually has a small one because he thinks this is ridiculous. And the other day, my brother-in-law was here and he made a cup of tea for me and for him. He took the big mug. No, not on, I tell you. All right, let's go back to it. So the next thing I want to talk about is not making visibility creative all the time. And what I mean by creative is trying to do the creativity up front so the work is done for you. So there is this pressure sometimes with social media and of going, shit, I better oh no. Oh, my battery's gone. My battery died. I'm so sorry. I think I've lost that live, but I'm recording it as a video and a podcast. So, yeah, let's go with that. Actually, I've just realized that I'm holding my phone up in front of my video. Here we go. I've lost my trail of thought now. I've got it back. Right. So, this visibility lark is about really figuring out how you can serve and how you can show up as being you and being the most supportive version, I guess, that you can be in terms of your client, and really hearing them, really trying to understand where they're coming from and how you can solve that problem. So I was saying about creativity and about visibility. I want you to consider, what are the things that you want to talk about? And get really clear, I guess. And these don't have to be decisions for the rest of your life, because I know that can be a pressure as well of like, right, I've got to have this figured out. I've got to know all the answers and that's it. It's signed off. Life isn't like that. Businesses change, brands change, things shift, something happens. You need to pivot. Like, this is life. It's okay to do that. But generally, if you can find some kind of foundations of what you want to talk about, what you want to be known for, it's going to make your life so much easier. So, for example, I talk about personal branding. So I talk about you being the heart of your business. I talk about visibility. I talk about goal setting. I talk about passive income. I talk about creating your own income pie. I talk about limiting beliefs and mindset. I occasionally talk about motherhood, parenthood, and running a business and making the two work together. But what I am doing is I'm doing this consciously, because as much as I love making content, there has to be, I guess, a reason behind it. And that reason is not always to sell. That reason could be to make somebody laugh, or make something relatable, or share a lesson, like a life business lesson to somebody, but break it down in a much more tangible way. There are lots of things that I want to do. But ultimately, if I can come back to those topics that I'm known for, that are very much part of my brand, and also feed into what I'm actually selling, it's going to make everything so much easier. So in the beginning, sometimes I would share recipes, or sometimes I would share where days out I'd had in London. And that's lovely, if it was a personal account, or if I wanted to WhatsApp that to my friend. And that's lovely as a small, I guess, slice that I am actually a working mum and I am seeing my children and I'm not just working all the time. But for me, there's a fine balance, because for the most part, my Instagram and the content I put up there is kind of to do with my business. It's not like a personal Dear Diary page in that way. So this is what I guess I mean about making this visibility consistent, is to always going back to the things that you're known for, the things that you want to talk about. And of course, there will be wiggle room. Like, I've made a video today that I'm going to upload shortly that I had no intention of making today. However, I saw a video and it really inspired me, and I had so much to say on the topic. But this wasn't just any old video about, I don't know, penguins crossing the road is the first thing that came into my head. This was a specific video that I could relate to and backtrack to the topics that I talk about, and I guess driving more people to my site because it's conversations that I'm having. So even though that wasn't the plan for today, I felt really passionate about making it because it was on my heart, it was on my mind, and I felt really connected, and I had that urgency to go, I need to talk about this. So even though we want to plan stuff out of how we're going to be visible and in what way we want to show up, and we sort of have a bit of a game plan, you can of course leave that wiggle room of saying, I just need to go live. Or sometimes I have this moment of like, I've just had this session with a client and she had this moment and it changed everything. And therefore I learned, sometimes when you're in that moment and when you've captured that, that's really lovely as well. So that's my challenge for you tonight. I want you to take some time to map out, I guess, what your buckets of content are. What are the things that you're known for? What are the things that you could talk about all day long, or the things that people ask you, or the stuff that I guess, the free version of before you get to your paid services. So, say, for example, you're a social media manager. What are your specialisms? What do people always ask you about? What are the results that people are going to get? And what are the stages of that customer journey? So maybe it is somebody just finding out a little bit more and they've got a freebie checklist, for example, or a short little video that's going to help them. A client that I've worked with previously, or she's worked with me, is Faye from 365 Social. Hello, Faye, if you're listening. She's got a fantastic opt-in at the moment, which is all about how to build a template in Canva. And ultimately, she is selling Facebook ads and Instagram strategy in that way. And that's a really good introduction to what she does, because she really delivers on that freebie. There's loads of videos, there's loads of value, and she really does take you step by step. But also, it will lead to ultimately you creating great Facebook ads, because she's showing you how to create excellent things in Canva. Hello, how you doing? So there's lots of points to that along the way. So when you're thinking about your content, when you're thinking about your visibility, give yourself an easy time with it. Don't overstretch yourself. Don't feel like you have to be all things to all people. And also realize the purpose and the joy and the opportunity, I guess, of repurposing. So that is something certainly I'm doing in this situation. So I'm recording this as an Instagram live. I've also got my YouTube streaming it, and it will then be transferred into a podcast as well. So those things will live on my website. Those things are another example of what I do, what I'm all about. And they're, living, breathing, exciting things there too. So that's kind of what I want to say. And also, I guess one final note is a note, don't underestimate the power of a voice note, of really checking in with somebody, of somebody hearing your voice. So many of us are working at home, or, especially in the winter as well. Like, if you can work from home, people quite often do, and they might not see anybody all day. And we're not picking up the phone all day. Our landline is not going wild. A lot of our work is done via email. So if you can send a voice note to somebody, if you can add a bit more of a human connection, happy days. And you're just going to be able to speak from the heart. One final thing, I know I've said final thing, but I just want to leave with this, is somebody connected with me on Instagram the other day. And I could see why they would connect with what I was doing. And to a point, I would be vaguely interested in what this person was offering. So she was very much about female empowerment, about coaching, about being a leader in your industry, and all of these sorts of things, etc. And she immediately reached out to me. I hate that word, reached out. And she sent me an automated video to my direct messages. But she said, I wanted to leave you a personalized note. And for me, it felt personal. It did feel personal, because seeing somebody on video, seeing that connection with somebody does bring you closer to that person quicker. But for me, it was personal and not personalized. So she didn't say this, but it was almost like saying, hello, potential fantastic lead who might want to pay me immediately. How are you? Just do this, enter your name and email. And it's very, he was very directive, like, and of course, we do need to be clear about our messaging or how we can support people and all of that. I'm not dissing that in the slightest, but it I just, as the person receiving it, I felt like another number. I just felt like a lead, and a cold lead that needed to be warmed up. It wasn't an aspirational feeling. So I think that's really important, that sometimes people just need to go and hear your voice. And it's scary. I used to work as an agent years ago, and the person I worked with always used to say, "Get on the phone, Raby. Come on, just get on the phone, have a chat with them, see what they say." And I'd be like, "No, don't make me. I don't want to. I don't like using the phone." But actually, it's the best thing in terms of connecting with somebody and having a chat and showing you're real and they're real and all that sort of stuff. And I tell you what, one thing that happens quite often in my free 15-minute session is the people who are coming to me to tell me about their business or their plans or their ideas, they have told no one before this interaction. And at the end of the free session, the amount of times I hear that breathing go down, of going, whew, it felt really good to say that out loud. And again, that's when I realized that it's been a very private thing, that it's been under the surface, that it's maybe been cooking for 10 years, that idea, that passion, that niggle, that they knew they needed to do something with that. And that's a really privileged position to be in, because it is, again, about holding space for people, making people feel safe, making people feel like it's a personalized experience. I can't tell you what to do, but whenever anybody says, just do these 3 things and you'll be rich overnight, yes, of course, the sweeping statements will be great, and there'll probably be some theory or some science or strategy behind it. But we're not IKEA flat pack furniture. We can't take into account also where we're up to, what our mental health's looking like, what are limiting beliefs. Do we believe that we could actually do that too? There's so many factors that contribute to our success, or pull you away from it and make the process really slow. Anyway, I have been chatting for nearly 40 minutes now, so I'm going to hold it there. Do catch up on the podcast as well. And of course, the video will go live very shortly. And have a think about what your visibility is going to be like over the next few weeks. Don't overcomplicate it, and just see if you can strip it back to the topics that you want to talk about. One thing I was just finally going to say is, there may be topics that you don't want to talk about, but they're kind of essential to your brand. So since I had Luna last year, I have included her because on my content and what I'm sharing on the internet, and because she's here. My partner and I are both freelance, so there are times where I'm working and he'll take her out, or sometimes, now she's a bit older, my mum will come and play with her for a bit, or I work in nap times, or things like that. But there's this fine line for me that I am very discerning in terms of my visibility and my personal brand, that I am not a mummy blogger. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with that, or, I'm not being awful about the term by any means, but I'm not here for parenting blogging. I'm not here to talk about my buggy and why I like it, or how I'm weaning my child, or how I choose to feed her, or whether she's sleeping through the night. And that is not part of my personal brand. That's not part of my business. I am not a parenting expert by any means. However, I am a mum who is doing it, who is running her own gig right now, who is ambitious, who does have a son and a daughter, and who does feel that that's an important part of my story as well. But in terms of content and how much I show of that, I can be discerning. So sometimes you can choose what you share and what you don't, or how much of it. So there might be some people who work in the wellness industry, but they're going through quite a tricky mental health conundrum at that time. Do they need to show and vlog them coming out of their therapy sessions? No, they don't. If somebody chooses to talk about that in a blog or a video or write an article on it, great. But I think also on the flip side, we don't have to give everything to everybody by any means. We don't have to share unnecessarily, and definitely not share when things are out of alignment with who we are and what we want to do. All right, so you can go back and listen. Speak Up is coming, so I'm doing a second round. If you want help with your speaking, your messaging, growing a bit more of an online personal brand, being the go-to person, especially sort of standing out in an industry. There are so many coaches out there. There are so many yogis. There are so many digital people. There are so many graphic designers. You know, it's really important that we figure out what your voice is, what you're here to do. Niching down. Hello, sirens. Niching down may not be for you, but certainly there will be a lot of your brand story that we can work on. So there's a special offer. If you purchase option 1, you get a free 45-minute session with me. And usually there are 3 options, but until the 29th of February, you will get everything in option 3 for the price of option 2. So you're making a saving there of £200. So it's a chunky one. We had 20 women go through the program before Christmas. It was a great success. So many interesting, vibrant, innovative, women in there doing great things: journalists, app developers, medical professionals, well-being experts, founders, lawyers, people who worked in parliament. Like literally it was so diverse. And again, when I'm teaching my courses, when I'm sharing what I do, it's never really about me. I do create some sort of framework for you to work through, but this is about you finding your answers, you figuring out what you're really aligned to. And it's the same with my one-on-one. You know, I don't have an agenda. I don't have any preconceived ideas of what you should do. And I'm very hesitant if people say, what do you think I should charge? I'm really about helping you to delve into what that means for you and how you can move forward in that way. So if you want to find out more, just go to nikkiraby.com/speak up, and I'm booking in sessions. I'm sending out login details. It's all very exciting. And if you want to read what people have been saying about the program, there's loads and loads and loads of testimonials on my website as well, from hearing what people got from it and what they're moving into. I'll be back here tomorrow, 7:30. You can catch up on any of the other podcasts as well. And do check out my IGTV. I actually did some creative writing earlier that I'm going to share. I've got hiccups now. Look, I've got anxiety about it. Bearing my soul on the internet. But I'm going to be uploading that very soon. So see what you think. And it may just resonate. All right. Have a lovely evening. Thank you so much for watching wherever you are. And big love to everyone. See you soon. See you tomorrow. Bye.